In this video, we're going to be looking at the Styles tab of your app's editor. Now, this is broken up into two subsections. The first section is your general list of styles. Now, you want to think of styles as preset appearance properties that you can apply to all of your visual elements that you can design in your app's pages. Okay, so buttons, text, maps. Almost every single visual element has a set of appearance properties. So the colors of things, the fonts of things, the borders, the thickness of those borders, the roundness. Depending on the type of element, you're going to have different properties available to you. So styles are a way of creating preset appearance properties so that you don't have to design the same look and feel with every individual element you add to the page. You can use this in combination with custom styled elements that are kind of one-off styles in your design, of course. You don't have to have everything tied to a preset, but this does really help you streamline your development. It helps keep things incredibly consistent, and there's a major performance benefit here. The more you take advantage of styles, the more elements that are attached to styles, the better it is for Bubble, the easier, I should say, the more optimized things are for Bubble to load all of those appearance properties on your on the browser when your users are loading their pages, because everything is coming from a library that has already been defined. It's less work for Bubble to get all of that information, right? So this is especially helpful if you have a really busy app with lots and lots of elements. Okay, so let's take a look at the list of styles that we have here. Whenever you create a new application, there's going to be a handful of them that Bubble will create for you. You can override these, you can delete them, you can create new ones. So I'm just going to filter my elements by button just to show a quick example. So I have 4 button styles here that have been pre-built for me to choose from. Again, I can change these, I can change the name, I can delete them, I can create new ones. But notice that there is a default applied to one of the button styles. So for every element type, you can have a default. You can have multiple styles for that type, but there has to be a default for one so that Bubble can automatically apply one of those styles when you first add that type of element to your page. So let me show you an example of that. I'm going to go back to my design tab here, select the button element, and draw a button on my page. Now notice that by default, it has applied the primary button style. I can switch to any of my other styles that are defined there in that styles tab. So I can switch to the outline or the secondary, right? But by default, it's the primary. Now I'm going to actually add a few more buttons here to show you really the power behind these presets. Now if I go back to my styles tab, go to the primary style and change the color to, let's say, this darker, this navy color. All right, so I've changed at the style level the background color. So if I go back to my design, you'll notice that all of those have changed as well. So this, again, makes it much more efficient for you to change the appearance properties very quickly if your elements are attached to those styles versus having to go through every single one of your buttons and having to edit them. And like I said, you can, of course, remove the style from an individual element and then have independent control from there. So I can change the color. Maybe I actually want this to be a lot lighter. So now it's separate from those 2 buttons up above, which are still attached to that primary button style. This one is now independent. You notice that once I remove the style, all of the individual properties now become available for me to change here. So again, if I go back to the primary and maybe change this color to something like this like lighter purple pink, okay, back to my design, these 2 have changed, but this one is unchanged because it's no longer attached to that style. Of course, I can reapply the style if I want by clicking that. If I click on edit style from here, it's going to give me a little shortcut and take me directly to that element's style type so that I can go edit it. If I didn't want this particular design to be the default, I can select another one, let's say outline, and change this by clicking here, make this style the default for all new buttons, right? And then now that is the new default. So when I come back in here and add my button like that, it is automatically going to be on that style because that is the new default. So you can do that with all of your different element types. So obviously you can see here, there's a version of the property editor on the right-hand side so that you can manage all of the appearance settings. And keep in mind that there are other properties that are really helpful here at the style level too, in addition to like visual colors and things like that. You can also change padding. Again, it does depend on the element type. You might have some other options, but padding is something that you can pre-build into the style so that you don't have to adjust the padding settings for absolutely everything. This is especially helpful for group elements and also conditions, right? You know that if it's a primary button or an outline button, and if that type of button is hovered, you always want it to do a specific appearance change. So there's lots of customizations you can do around here. Now, if you have a lot of elements here with styles, you can also search for them by name. So if I just want to search primary in general or secondary, let's see if we do like text, okay, tip or warning, right? So I have, with the warning, I have 3 different element types: alert, group, text. So that makes it easy for you to find. Again, you can delete the styles by clicking on the trash can icon here. You can rename them if you'd like, and you can also create brand new styles from scratch here. I'll show you a quick little tip for creating new styles, and this is typically going to be the way that it happens for you. This is more common, is you will design an element independently here in your page. So let's say, okay, I want to override this, and I want this color to be a little bit darker. I want the font to be larger, and I say, you know what, I actually like that design. I want that to be my new, a new style that I save. So from here, from this independent design, I can go into the style dropdown and create a new style. That way it applies it from everything that I have there, and I don't have to go back into the style tab and redo that same design. So I can say, you know, purple, pink, button, something like that, and create. Okay, and so that's my new style that has been added to my list, and I can also see that here as well, right? And of course I can edit it from there. So a lot you can do there. I highly recommend you take advantage of styles as much as possible. The next section that we have here is style variables. Now this is where you can create an app-wide set of presets for essentially your style guide for your application. And Bubble has a handful of these style guide categories to make it easy for you to design your application. So you can use these in combination with your styles, but basically you'll choose kind of a primary font, first of all. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be that font. You can, of course, change things to be different fonts. You can mix and match. But this is a way of saying, okay, for my application, this is kind of the primary font. It's the fallback. It's the default. That way, wherever you are updating text appearance properties or even working with styles, it will always fall back to this first, so that it's easy for you to, you know, build things out, and you don't have to go selecting this font from the beginning every single time. And then the same thing applies to all of these colors, but what Bubble has done is created these categories to make it easy for you to organize essentially your style guide, right? So, you know, in most cases with web design, you're going to have a palette of colors that are complementary. And some colors are going to be used more frequently, some are going to be more accent colors, some are going to be for kind of indicating, right, alerts or success messages, or maybe kind of a warning type of indicator. So this is always helpful to have defined here so that you are consistent, again, throughout the rest of your app's design. Now I'll show you where you'll find these colors and how you can access them. If I go into, again, one of these buttons here, let's say we remove the style, and I go into changing the background color, you'll find all of those color variables, is what they're called, listed here. You have this palette for quickly accessing those. And if I click on, you know, one of them here, you'll notice that the way that Bubble has written this is through that, that variable category, right? And I can change this here, the primary contrast, right, the text. And if I edit those in that section here under style variables, they will automatically be updated here as well. So it's very similar to, you know, just like the regular style, but that way, if I change my primary color, any element that is attached to that primary color value will automatically change for you. You don't have to go back through your entire application to adjust everything. So it's really handy for that type of application. So, and if you click edit here, it'll take you also to this tab so that you can get to it quickly. All right, everyone, that is your style tab. We will see you in the next video.